So have you ever wondered just how many countries there actually are? Now you'd think you'd be able to just look at a map and count out all the little shapes, but no, it is not that simple. The United Nations has 193 members, but even that isn't a clear answer. Because the United States, for example, recognizes 197 countries according to the CIA. This map shows all of the countries that recognize Israel, and this map shows all of the countries that recognize Palestine. Some only recognize one of them, some recognize both, and some recognize neither. So is only one of them a country? Are they both countries? Are neither of them countries? I don't know, and I am definitely not answering that. The point is determining what is and what isn't a country is a lot harder than it might seem. So let's take a look at some countries that don't exist, kind of. Starting with the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus. Cyprus is an island in the Mediterranean Sea south of Turkey and west of Syria. Despite being pretty small in both area and population, it's been divided since 1974. And like many conflicts in history, this one involves one of my favorite country-friend duo things. Turkey and Greece. That was sarcasm, by the way. They have prehistoric beef. The south of the island is home to the Republic of Cyprus, which is recognized by pretty much everybody. And the north of the island is home to Northern Cyprus, which is recognized by just one country. Can you guess which one? This is the flag of Northern Cyprus, and this is the flag of Turkey. I think you can see the connection. Basically, Northern Cyprus is home to the island's Turkish population, while the Republic of Cyprus is home to its Greek population. Cyprus, after gaining its independence from the British in 1960, except for these two little areas, which are still under British control to this day, Greek Cypriots and Turkish Cypriots, sticking to centuries of tradition, couldn't really agree on anything. In fact, the UN peacekeepers had to deploy there in 1964, and in 1974, a Greek military coup sought to unify the island with Greece itself. As you can imagine, Turkey was absolutely delighted to hear about the coup, and peace has flourished on the island ever since. I'm just kidding, Turkey promptly invaded the island, so there's that. Which resulted in the current divided mess where the Turkish Cypriots live in the north of the island and the Greeks live in the south. Even Nicosia, the island's largest city, is divided north and south. The Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus is home to just over 300,000 people, and its claimed capital is North Nicosia. So needless to say, Cypriot borders are an absolute cluster, mess, disgusting, horrific, terrible. So now let's take a trip to a part of the world where the sky is always blue, everybody loves each other, and peace blooms like flowers in the month of May. I'm of course talking about the Balkans and Kosovo. Kosovo is located between Montenegro, Albania, North Macedonia, and Serbia, whom it declared independence from in 2008. Yes, most of you are probably older than Kosovo. What makes this little place different than Serbia is its majority Albanian Muslim population, where ethnic Serbians are actually a minority. Following the collapse of the former communist Yugoslavia, Kosovo experienced, let's just say, harsh treatment by Serbia. The Yugoslav wars were a very tough time for Kosovo, culminating in a NATO military intervention in 1999. NATO forces bombed Serbia and assisted the Kosovo Liberation Army, or KLA. The Kosovo War eventually came to an end in June of 1999, and today you can find a statue of Bill Clinton and Bush Avenue in Kosovo. Those are our presidents, and we don't even like them like that. After the war, the status of Kosovo was kind of up in the air until 2008, when its parliament formally voted for independence. Today, 104 of the 193 UN members recognize Kosovo, with the US and most of the EU being its strongest supporters, and Serbia and Russia strongly opposing its existence. Kosovo seeks to join both NATO and the European Union, but it's going to be a while before it can do so. Spain is a unique example of a NATO country that doesn't recognize Kosovo, mostly because Spain, a lot like Serbia, has its own independence movement problems in Catalonia and the Basque Country, so they kind of fear that legitimizing Kosovo might legitimize their own problems, I don't know, something like that. Greece also doesn't recognize it because of its strong ties to Serbia. They've already got enough beef with Turkey, they don't need to fight the whole neighborhood. Our next sort of country is just about 800 kilometers northeast of Kosovo. Nestled between Moldova and Ukraine, Transnistria is often called the final pocket of the Soviet Union, and is literally recognized by no one, like not even Russia, and Russia recognizes pretty much everyone, as you'll see later. Transnistria came to be as the Moldavian Soviet Socialist Republic, now Moldova, was moving towards its own independence from the Soviet Union. Transnistria is home to more ethnic Russians and Ukrainians than the rest of Moldova. So when Moldova transitioned to using the Latin alphabet, changed its flag, changed its name to the Republic of Moldova, dropping all the socialist stuff, and diplomatically began to move closer to Romania than Russia, the people of Transnistria were not too happy. So in 1990, Transnistria decided to declare its own independence from Moldova. Tensions eventually escalated into an armed conflict between Moldovan forces and Transnistrian separatists in 1992, which was eventually ended by a ceasefire, which resulted in the Russian-backed Transnistrian forces basically winning. Today, Transnistria still continues to function as a de facto independent state, with its own passports, currency, government, and flag. Oh wow, that looks familiar. Transnistria is home to just under 500,000 people, its capital is Tiraspol, and if it were an internationally recognized country, it would be the poorest in all of Europe. Keeping in the Russian theme, let's now jump over to Asia to explore Abkhazia, Abkhazia and South Ossetia. These two twinsies are breakaway regions in Georgia, recognized by Syria, Nauru, Nicaragua, Venezuela, and who else but Mother Russia. Man, what a fun group of countries. In August 2008, the Russo-Georgian War began and saw Georgia fighting against Russian-backed Abkhazian and South Ossetian forces. The conflict lasted just 5 days, and ultimately the separatists came out on top, with Georgia basically losing control over both regions. It also resulted in Russia recognizing both as independent states. I mean, just look at that handshake. Oh my god! Russia's involvement was largely driven by its desire to protect its interests in the Caucasus region and to counter Georgia's increasingly pro-Westernness. And if you've watched my Sweden NATO video, you would know that Vladdy Daddy really does not like pro-Westernness. But Putin wasn't president at the time. He was actually prime minister while his buddy was president, so he could be president later because of constitutional term limits, which he has since gone around, so he can be president forever. It's no big deal, whatever. Ultimately, the Russo-Georgian War served to further divide Russia and the West and to push Georgia closer to the West. Abkhazia is home to just under 250,000 people, with Sukhumi being its claimed capital. South Ossetia is home to only about 50,000 people, with its capital being Skinvali. I think that's how you say that. Probably not. Again, only 5 UN members currently recognize Abkhazia and South Ossetia, but hey, Transnistria also recognizes them, so that's something, I guess. So Georgia has its set of twin pro-Russian breakaway territories, and so too did Ukraine with the Luhansk People's Republic and the Donetsk People's Republic. That is until September 2022, when Russia ate both of them. Like Transnistria, the LPR and DPR were two ethnic Russian majority breakaway regions in the Donbass region of Ukraine that declared their independence in April 2014 after the Russian invasion of the Crimean Peninsula. And nearly 8 years later, on February 21st, 2022, Russia officially recognized both breakaway states and began its current invasion of Ukraine just 3 days later. In September 2022, Russia held referendums in 4 occupied Ukrainian regions, including the LPR and DPR, to annex them into the Russian Federation. And surprise, surprise, all of them voted like 90% in favor of joining Russia. Guys, I don't know if these referendums were totally legit, I'm not gonna lie. So that was the end of the Luhansk and Donetsk People's Republics. But before being annexed, both countries were recognized by Syria, North Korea, Russia, and that's it. Now let's jump over all of Asia to our next kind of country. Everybody's favorite island, Taiwan! The Republic of China, or Taiwan, is a self-governing democratic country recognized by just 12 UN members. However, this wasn't always the case. As you can see here, more and more countries have stopped recognizing Taiwan throughout the years. This is largely because of China's One China policy, which holds that Taiwan is an inalienable part of China. Come on, recognizing Taiwan, you wouldn't want to lose all that sweet Chinese business, baby. The existence of Taiwan as a separate entity from mainland China dates all the way back to the Chinese Civil War. In 1949, after years of fighting, Mao Zedong and the Communists beat Chiang Kai-shek and the Nationalists, who subsequently fled to the island of Taiwan, where they still are today. In fact, the Nationalists, known as the Kuomintang, are still a political party in Taiwan. Today, Taiwan is an economic powerhouse with an over $800 billion GDP and over 90% of the world's advanced chip manufacturing. Currently, China claims Taiwan, and Taiwan claims all of China and all of Mongolia and a bunch of other parts of other countries. You know, I guess you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Now, even though only 12 UN countries have formal relations with Taiwan, plenty more have informal relations. The United States, for example, does a ton of business with Taiwan, and American politicians have even made diplomatic trips to the island. Overall, Taiwan is home to well over 23 million people, and Taipei is its capital city. Now that I've depleted all of my social credit, it's time to head over to the Horn of Africa to visit the Republic of Somaliland. It's home to about 6.2 million people, and its capital is Hargeisa. The story of Somaliland begins back in 1960 when Fish and Chips Somaliland and Pasta Fettuccine Somaliland merged to form the Federal Republic of Somalia. That was a lot of words. 31 years later, in 1991, Somali dictator Mohammed Siad Barre was ousted from power, and the nation descended into a civil war, which is still ongoing today. Somalia is basically an online GTA lobby. It's pretty horrendous. So on May 18th, 1991, the former British Somaliland part of Somalia decided to declare its independence as the Republic of Somaliland. On January 1st, 2024, landlocked Ethiopia made a deal with Somaliland to access its ports in exchange for recognizing the country's independence. Unrelated, but it's amazing how Eritrea manages to hog this entire coastline. As far as I could tell, Ethiopia is the only country that actually recognizes Somaliland, but if you know otherwise, please let me know. Generally speaking, Somaliland is more peaceful and stable than the rest of Somalia, but don't get me wrong, they still got some room to grow. And our final country of the day, also in Africa, is the Sahrawi Arab Democratic Republic, more commonly known as Western Sahara. Western Sahara is one of the 4 horsemen of no data, and is currently recognized by 46 of the 193 UN members. Only about 20% of Western Sahara is actually controlled by the SADR, while the rest is controlled by Morocco. Morocco. The SADR declared its independence in 1976 following Spain's departure from what was Spanish Sahara at the time. However, both Morocco and Mauritania decided that they wanted to control the former Spanish Sahara. Because who doesn't want to control more sand? Why not? Mauritania actually relinquished its claims over Western Sahara in 1979, but Morocco continues to clash with the Polisario Front, who are the ones who proclaimed the independence of the SADR in the first place. Western Sahara claims El Ayoun as its capital, but since it doesn't actually control the city, it uses Tifariti as its temporary capital. So there you have it. Those were some sort of countries that kind of exist, but also kind of don't. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and until next time, goodbye.